This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are back talking the NFL. Specifically, we are breaking down probably one of the more boring NFL divisions, which that is the NFC South. But we're going to be breaking down the top 100 players that was recently voted on by the players. And we have a lot of disagreements, some agreements, but then we're going to give you our top 10 best NFL players currently right now. And then we're going to follow that up by talking about some Olympic talk and give you our preview the upcoming NFL season. All that and so much more coming up, the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we have made it to almost college football season. We're almost there, but before we get into all of football talk and everything that going on, let's talk about how our weeks have been. Josh, I know you had some fun experiences here in the last couple of days. Why don't you share what's been going on with the old Josh Burris?
Yeah, last night I made the trip to Pittsburgh to watch the Pirates against the Padres at PNC Park. That's a place that I've been wanting to check off my baseball bucket list.
It's phenomenal. Been there.
It's a good spot. So if you guys didn't see the game, it was a great game experience. Jackson Merrill hit 2 home runs for the Padres. McCutchen hit a home run. It was a game that the Pirates were winning going into the 9th, and then the Padres fought their way back into it, went to extra innings. Padres eventually won. But as far as like the whole experience goes, Ben, most of this is going to be like in comparison to like how it is for me to get to Cleveland. So that's my park. Parking everywhere was like $15 to $25, and it's hard to find lots under $40 in Cleveland.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I remember. This was, goodness, I don't know. It was 27. It was about eight years ago or so. All I remember is that like it was definitely cheap. It was kind of like Cincinnati, but with Cincinnati, you have to park more in the city unless you pay for like underneath the stadium. Like you could pay for those parking tickets, which they're like $25-$30, maybe a little bit more. I know Cleveland's expensive, but my question for you is, did you get to walk around the whole stadium? Because when I went to PNC, I walked around the whole stadium. Like I was able to walk through the whole stadium. Did you get to do that?
Okay.
Or
we didn't loop all the way around. We came in like around left field, and our seats were on the behind the Pirates dugout, like towards home plate.
Yeah.
So we walked around like maybe half of it, I guess. But not the whole thing. I have walked around the outside, like not at a game, but like just for like they had all the like the Clemente statue and the Stargirl statue, and as far as that goes.
So I've walked around the brim because I remember having seats in right field. So I had seats in right field. It was really hot. I remember it was a freaking hot day. But I was able to walk like we're like right as you walk down from the right field seats, you can like oversee the river, which is just like one of the most beautiful scenes. By the way, if we're talking about beauty of a ballpark, there might not be another view of like when you're looking from home plate that looks more beautiful than in Pittsburgh, to be honest with you. Like there's not many that can top that, personally, at least in my opinion.
When it got dark and then you got like the yellow bridges in the back all lit up,
it just looks,
it's a pretty cool skyline. Yeah.
But no, I think PNC is great. I obviously I'm biased with Great American. I think Great American's like a very underrated ballpark for many reasons, but we won't get into it. But we could do that. I think that's an episode if you want, people. We could talk about our favorite stadiums or arenas that we've been to.
How many have you been to? Because I've been to 6 baseball stadiums.
I've been to Cleveland's, Cincinnati, PNC.
You get to Detroit?
I haven't been to Detroit. I've been to Wrigley.
Okay.
The Yankee Stadium.
Me too.
Was it old or new? I can't remember. I think it was new Yankee Stadium. Yeah. I think it was new Yankee Stadium, but I'm not quite sure on that.
Mine have been the new Yankee Stadium, Wrigley, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, and now I can knock PNC
and
off.
I've been to Columbus Clippers and Dayton Dragons.
Okay. Minor league, I've been to Toledo and I've been to Akron.
There we go. See, we're kind of close. My goal before I die is to touch every stadium. That's my goal.
One other really cool thing that I'm going to throw on about the PNC experience is just the way that Pittsburgh's laid out. Like I sit in an hour of traffic sometimes getting into Cleveland.
Cleveland is rough.
Pittsburgh, I got in and out after the game like pretty easily. Like within 15 minutes, I was like out of the city or in the city. And the garage that we parked at, Champions Garage, is like a block or like right down the sidewalk from the stadium right there next to it, and only $25. So it's a really good experience. I think there might be a couple stadiums I've been to already that I like better, but I mean it's
That
still a great place to go and
yeah,
watch a game. Full experience,
that's
incredible.
one thing that I wish from Europe, living here in Europe for the last 4 years, that I wish would be almost. I wish the U.S. would come over and look, because if public transportation was as good as it is here in Europe, dude, I would go to so many events. Like, I think part of the reason why I don't go to many events and I don't go to many Reds games when I'm in the States is not the price necessarily, because like you can find cheap tickets. It's just a pain to get there. It's a pain to drive there. It's a
Like you
pain to
gotta arrive that like try to get to the stadium 2 hours ahead of time if you want any luck, man.
yeah,
Otherwise,
and
like it's all
so
bogged back
so for
traffic.
me it's like, what I love about here is like if I go to a soccer game here in Budapest, which by the way, people don't realize Budapest is freaking so crazy busy during like dinner time, that time of the day. Like I if I live, the stadium for, let's say, the national team is about, I would say a drive would be about 30 minutes. Traffic would make it like 45 minutes. If I take public, I can get there in 15 minutes. Like, that's what I would love, is if I was
Hmm.
near a city, I could just be like that. I could take a train in from the outside and
Right.
get there, but again, those are wishes I'll never have. But yeah, my week was fascinating. Watched a lot of Olympics. We'll mention, as we're recording this on when the US played Serbia and they scraped away a victory. I will talk about that later. But watched a lot of the Olympics. I got a job offer today. So not many
Nice.
people know I'm switching jobs. Um, that's a whole situation for another day, but that's exciting. I get to decide on that, which we all know that is the scary part of saying yes and then hoping it all works out, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with that. But that's been my week. We've had one of Rebecca's friends stay here, so you might see people in the background. That's
Mm.
just the way it is. So, but anyways, that's been my week. That's been Josh's week. Now into the nitty gritty, which is the
Nitty gritty.
NFL. Do we want to talk about the Brown Stadium real quick? Do we want to mention that before we get into the nitty gritty that we were going to talk about the NFL? Do we want to first
We might as
mention?
well, yeah.
We might as well mention it.
I did not read like the
I
huge
did.
essay that they
Annoying.
posted about it. I just looked at the pictures of the concept of what they want.
I'm mad. I'm mad, Josh.
Are you
I'm
mad that
mad.
they're going to build a dome in Cleveland and there
Yes,
won't be
I am
cold weather
so I
football?
am so angry. I'm like, I never thought that I would be like, I'm just mad because that is
That's like a
Cleveland.
weapon for us against teams like Miami that come up here in
It's
November. They
so
can't
annoying,
handle
man.
it.
And you know why they're doing this? The only reason is to have a Super Bowl in Cleveland. That is the only reason they're doing this. You cannot sell me
Oh man,
any
they
other
had a
way.
oh man, haven't they had a Super Bowl at Soldier Field before in
Just
Chicago?
all I gotta say is like,
Maybe not. I don't know.
can
I
they
thought they did.
retract it? Like, can we retract it? Like, I'm sorry, this probably, okay, I know to a lot of people they're probably like, Ben, like, you're being a bit crybaby. Like, I'm not trying to be, but like,
Yeah.
what made Cleveland football? What makes Buffalo football Buffalo? What makes New England? Like,
Green Bay, Green Bay.
it's the weather, and now you've taken that out, and it's not going to feel the same. You are. Am I right, Josh, or am I just crazy? Like, maybe I'm
No, I mean
crazy.
that's why even like at the college scene, everybody hates it when all the like big playoff games or the big bowl games are down south or at neutral fields or in
Yeah,
domes because it like totally like I guess it's like I mean weather's like a big equalizer
yeah,
and people like it when Ohio State and Michigan gotta
but
play
it makes it more
in the
interesting. Like,
snow
it's
or in the wind. Yeah,
fascinating, and I guess I part of
throws
it's the
another wrench in
identity.
it. Yeah.
Part of it's the identity of Cleveland. Like, you have the lake there. Like, that's just part of what Cleveland is. It's a place that in the wintertime, late fall, it becomes interesting. It's beautiful. It has this, but now it's like, okay, and then also the glass. Like, I just don't, if you're gonna make a dome, let's just do a dome. Like, we're not LA. Let's not make it LA. Let's just,
Seeing that in Cleveland
it's
would
just
be
gonna look
crazy.
weird.
It,
It's
it
just gonna
it
look
looks
weird.
weird being in Cleveland, yeah.
It's like, make it industrial. You know what? If you're gonna do a dome, this is what you do. You take railroad ties
Mhm.
and you just make it all railroad tracks. Just make it industrial looking. Make it look like rust. That's what I say. Just make a rust dome. Like, at this point, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be so angry. And I know, like, there's many people that probably love it. Awesome. I'm happy for you. I just think it looks hideous. I think it's pointless. I
Well,
think it
I
ruins.
think it's a beautiful place. I just I'm
Just
with you
take the
though.
just
That's like it's not Cleveland though.
it's not. Like you're gonna see the snow falling, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, I wish that we could make a hole so this snow could come in." I'm sorry. I'm going on a rant.
It
Just stop.
little rant,
Anyways,
but
I'm sorry.
a little warranted.
Okay, I will say this. It looks like it's a great opportunity that the Browns can improve their stadium. It needs it. Look, I think I've been there once, maybe, I'm not quite sure. Cannot remember if I have or not. But all I know is like even when you look at it, it just looks old. Like it does need to be revamped. But I just think like the whole idea of like giving a dome it just scares me. All right, it takes the Cleveland out of Cleveland Browns. We're not gonna be the
Takes
Miami
a little bit of that
Browns.
home field advantage we might have had, yeah. Especially against, like I said, a team like Miami that comes
Now,
in the
if they
fall
have
or the
if
winter.
they have a weather thing inside where we can turn it to like 2 degrees, then okay, we can start talking. Now we can
A
start having a conversation.
little bit more, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Josh. I'll get off my high horse. You can lead into the next point that we're actually wanting to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. And we might ruffle some more feathers with this
Oh
too, but
gosh.
I don't think we'll ruffle as many as the NFL did.
Oh god.
So the
Yeah.
NFL releases a top 100 player ranking before the season starts every year, and it's
Yes.
not the media that puts out. It's based on player votes. So I don't know about you, Ben, but everybody talks about how like analysts don't know anything about football. Like player opinions are way more important. But then you go and read the list that they come out with, and they decide to rank Tyreek Hill as the best player in all of football. And the players also put Patrick Mahomes behind Lamar Jackson at number 4. This discounts every single claim that players know football the best. To
And Micah
me,
Parson at 17. I'm
yeah,
just saying.
Micah Parsons down at 17. Justin Jefferson's like the third receiver that they rank, and he's at 18. And I'm just like, okay, all this talk about like players know best. It's like, okay, they know how to play the best. Obviously, they got the ability, they got the talent. They're the ones that are like studying opponents week to week, but they don't know like individual players like this. So yeah, I'm glad
Or
that
or
this list
how
came out.
or how Jordan Love and Brock Purdy are ahead of Joe Burrow. It's mind-boggling to me. Just
Yeah, you
how
can
should
go
we
ahead
go
and do
through?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go through and let's just say some of the ones that pop out. All right, like I'll pick 5 names. How about you pick 5 names that you're like, this is just flat out ridiculous, redonkulous.
I gotta like find the top 100. I only
Oh,
remembered the top
I
10.
found this site. It's a Sharp Football Analyst that lists all 100. It's in very terrible font, but it works.
Let's see if I can go ahead and find it here, so I can get
I
refreshed.
will give.
Oh, I got it here.
So
Okay,
looking,
it's on
I
NFL.com
would say
site.
that choose 5. I guess I'm looking the top 50 because that's where I really see it. Okay, but I'll start out with
Okay,
one. I'll start out with one, then you go one. Okay.
okay.
This is one of my biggest. I'm dumbfounded. Is that a good word? I guess I'm dumbfounded is what I'm going to say.
Dumbfounded. Okay.
Is why on God's green earth is Brock Purdy 28? Like
Brock Purdy 28.
I
Yeah, that
I
that might be
just
the biggest discrepancy between media and fan opinion and player opinion out there.
I am shocked because behind Brock Purdy, you have Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, which okay, Jared Goff. You have, let's see, who else do you have down here? You have QB wise. You have Kirk Cousins all the way down there. So there's not any like great, but Aaron Rodgers at 92. Trevor Lawrence is down there. Like, I'm just curious where the players think Brock Purdy, like, how is he the 28th best player in the NFL when, to be honest, it was Christian McCaffrey's show and he was just a part of it. Now, I might have just ruffled a lot of feathers, but I'm just saying, to me, it's so confusing. It ties in with a different player, but I'll let you go with, you can add comments and then you can choose your player, your first player.
Yeah, I would think that like when these guys are scouting the 49ers and getting ready to play them, that Brock Purdy's maybe the, like we've said, the 10th or the 11th player that they're worried about
Yeah.
out there.
It's just, okay. Who's your
Yeah.
first player that shocked you?
Well, I mean, since you used Brock Purdy, I'll go ahead and skip that. But Lamar Jackson at 2. Like that's the best
2017? Are
quarterback
we
in
in
the NFL.
2017 or what?
That's the best quarterback in the NFL from the players, even though he's does the bare minimum
Okay.
in the playoffs.
He's
I mean,
athletic.
is it
He's
just
great.
like it's frustrating to like have to worry about his run ability? Is it like annoying to a defense to like have to run all over the field to try to hunt him down? And
So
that's like something else that they don't like. But
So I view this as like when you look at the best players, they're like the freaks, like the player that like is going to dominate the game. And I look at this, you're telling me that Chris Jones, TJ Watt, Fred Warner, Greg Kittle, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, like none of these guys are more like dominant. Like I don't know I don't know what the players are like how are they voting? Because you have Patrick Mahomes sitting there 2 spots behind, which by the way, when was the last team to really stop Patrick Mahomes when he wants to do something?
the
We've seen the Brown
49ers couldn't do it in the Super Bowl
we've seen
overtime.
we've seen the Browns do it to Lamar Jackson. We've seen the Steelers do it to Lamar Jackson. We've seen the Bengals do it to Lamar Jackson. He is stoppable. I have not yet in Mahomes' career see him outside of him beating himself or his teammates beating themselves, him getting stopped by a team. I have not seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah, me neither. So yeah, Lamar at 2 for me, and then I'll go ahead and say my second one since
Yeah.
it's fresh. Sauce Gardner at 38, behind Jalen
Disrespectful.
Ramsey,
Disrespectful.
and Duran Bland.
Dude, disrespectful on a level. He was actually going to be one of my 5, but maybe it's because I always point back that I got the pick right back a couple of drafts ago, but
Yeah, you feel a special place in your heart for that, man.
but it's one, his name is phenomenal. Like he's got to be up there, right? But two, what has Ramsey done in the last 2 years that has even earned him in this top 50,
Yeah, like I
top
think
60?
he was the highest rated corner, if I'm reading this right, out of all the lists. Except Sauce Gardner's the one that's like
How?
always allowing like, one catch in single coverage or something like that. We see all these
Oh
crazy
my
pro football focus
goodness.
stats that he puts up, and
It's mind-boggling to me, really. It truly is.
yeah.
Like when I saw that, I was like, is Denzel Ward not better than Ramsey right now? Like, there's other guys that I can think put above Ramsey for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But putting him in at Sauce Gardner that low is just disrespectful on another level.
Yeah.
Oh, my next one. I'll look at this might be an underrated one. Mike Evans at 26. Mike Evans has been one of the most productive, consistent players out there. Now, I'm not saying I think Justin Jefferson should be higher than him. I'm not saying that. He should be in the top 15. That man's been doing it for 10 years, and it's not like he's dropped off. It's not like he's plateaued. He's had some of the worst QBs to work with. He's had Jameis. He's had a bunch of backups. Then he had Tom Brady to work with. Then he had Baker. Like, it's not like he's had one guy. And I think to have him where they have him down there at 26 behind the likes of Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm sorry. What? He's behind AJ Brown. He's behind Justin Jefferson. Probably you could fight that there. But then I think he's more valuable than Tyreek Hill. And I know people think I'm crazy, but the dude has been consistent every single year, no matter how bad his QB has been. Who has Tyreek Hill played with? He's played with Patrick Mahomes, and he's played with Tua Tagovailoa. Like the dude, and Justin Jefferson's played with Kirk Cousins. Like Justin Jefferson, I'll give a break, right? But Evans has everything consistent wise, and that's a big thing is consistency. He should be higher. That's my fight.
Mm-hmm.
Should I go my third? Should I do my third since you did it last
Go your
time?
third, yeah. Stay
My
hot.
third
Stay hot.
one is where did I put it? Where did I find it? I'm gonna go with one that might be a little surprising, but I do feel like deserves a little more love. And I'm gonna go with I said Micah Parsons, but I think we both can agree with that, so I won't talk about Micah Parsons. But I'm gonna go with Aiden Hutchinson. I think Aiden Hutchinson should be a little higher than 47th. And again, this isn't a Ohio State fan not having bias to say that he deserves to be lower. No, I mean this. Like, Aiden Hutchinson has been solid. Like, we haven't had any issues with what he's done. He's below the likes of Demario Davis, Quentin Williams, Josh Hines Allen, which is going to be really hard to remember that he's changed his name. Khalil Mack's better, but Khalil Mack he hasn't been the same. So for me, I just think maybe not a lot higher. I'm thinking more like 30, but I think Aiden Hutchinson is a lot better than what I think the players are
Hmm.
giving him credit for. And again, maybe it's because he's young, but yeah, it's a whole other world.
Yeah.
Speaking of Michigan, we might have to talk about that at the end of the show as well. Yeah, that's a fascinating
Hmm.
subject.
What do
All
you
right.
think about Dak Prescott being at 16?
My honest thought was like, why? Like, what
The
has he shown?
quarterbacks the quarterbacks ahead of him are Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar, uh, Mahomes, and I think that was it. So they're putting him as like not only the 16th best player in the league, but the
I have a hot
fifth
take.
best QB, I guess.
I have a hot take. Well, not a hot take. I think Joe Burrow's better than him, but I have a hot take. CJ Stroud's better than him.
And they got CJ at 20.
Like
A lot of respect already.
dude, the thing with Dak is that he's just done nothing. Like he's he's just like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like the man has like won nothing. Like he's like an all pro bowler type dude that wins nothing. Like that's just kind of what he does.
Hans the stat sheet, yeah. Led the
Like,
NFL with 36 touchdowns and 410 completions. Finished second passer rating last year, third in passing yards.
but they did nothing as a team. And I feel
Had
like
the
if you're
league's top scoring offense, but you're right. Then they lose that game to Green Bay in the first playoff game.
so I'm gonna say, yeah, I agree with you on your statement. I think he should be maybe more like 25, 30 range.
Yeah, fifth best quarterback's kind of crazy. I think Jalen Hurts at 15 is kind of crazy too, since he's the
Yeah.
one that's right above him.
Hmm.
But
All right. What is your next
yeah,
hot one that you want to, your fourth one?
my fourth one. Let me scroll through here.
Oh, I have one that's a blatant one. That's very blaring that I'm cannot wait to
All
tell.
right, you can go ahead and
You want
say
me
it
to
then.
go? Amari
Yeah,
Cooper.
at 70.
Amari freaking Cooper at 70. The 70th best player is Amari. The dude has been playing with one armed QB. He played with six QBs last year. How is he the 70th best player? Are you like
I don't mind that one too much actually,
my
but
only
I
my
would
problem
take him. Puka
is this.
Nakua is like 40 spots ahead of him, and I would take Amari over Puka.
Yes. And I would also take him over Jalen Waddle. I'd take him over Stephon Diggs. As of now, last year's Stephon Diggs, who wasn't that great. Keenan Allen, like, I think once you get to Jamar Chase, that's when you start getting like, okay, I'd start taking these other guys. But I mean, 70 though, like maybe like 55. Like, I don't think he's like the 70th best player right now. I mean, he was the offense last year, I felt like, to be honest with you, out when Chubb got hurt. I mean, it was pretty much throw the ball to him or Njoku. That was pretty much the way it is.
Hmm.
Also, that's another guy that's missing from this
Yeah.
list. That should be on this list.
So this is one that's interesting too to me is Trey Hendrickson is at 77 after finishing second in sacks, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we're gonna take guys like Myles Garrett, Max Crosby,
Yeah.
Micah Parsons,
Aiden
Chris
Hutchinson.
Jones, those kind of edge guys. But I mean, like Hendrickson, second in the league in sacks, and they just got him at 77. I don't know. I think he should be higher than that. Justin Herbert at 75 too. I was surprised by
That
that.
seems a really low,
Very,
low
very
number.
low. Like this is below those guys that
Like
we were just
Jordan
talking
Love,
about. Behind
Jordan
Jordan Love,
Love,
behind Jared Goff,
Dak. Like
behind
what?
Hurts, Stack.
Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford. Like what?
Yep. And
And this,
maybe, I mean, we can use the same discussion about Dak as we can with Herbert. Like he throws all these numbers up, but what has he won?
but then
But
then
granted,
be
Dak has been
equal.
in the league for a
But then
decade.
equal though. Be equal. You know.
Yeah.
Uh.
Yeah, for sure.
So my fifth one is a two-tone one here. Just a swap. This is what I would say. Can we take Aaron Rodgers out of 92? He played one game.
Hmm.
Like we don't even know what he's going to be like. It's the same with Kirk Cousins. Like he's hurt. We have no idea what he's going to be like. Can we put David Njoku in there? Why in the world is David Njoku not in the top 100? Is mind-boggling to me. But the biggest part of that I want to say is Aaron Rodgers should not be in the top 100. And I've heard a lot of people say that, and I agree with them. Like he played not even a game. He played like 10 minutes. So maybe that's a really hot take. I'm not trying to go. I'm trying to look at this as current, not past accolades. That's what I'm trying. I'm really trying my best to like say, what have you done
Yeah,
the
like
last
for
few
the
years,
2024 season is
or
what
what have
this
you
is
done the
for.
last few years? You know, a year or so.
Yeah.
And it just, I guess it bothers me a little bit more. I guess that he's sitting there, but again, that's just
Hmm.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Who's your last one?
I brought up a corner already with Sauce Gardner. I got to bring up Patrick Surtain the second being at 52.
I
I just
agree.
caught that one. It's like,
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty
agree.
low.
Yeah.
Because that dude's like a top 2, 3, 4 corner.
Again, I think a lot of this goes on reputation. I'm starting to realize, like, if you have a good reputation around the league with players, they tend to put you
Hmm.
higher. And I really believe that.
Yeah. If
Like,
you've achieved a lot in the league
or even if
and
you're like a
people like
rookie
you,
that everyone likes you, you're like CJ Stroud, everyone loves you, like,
yeah.
they're going to put you higher. That's just
Yeah,
a
for sure.
fact. But now comes the joy that we have, or
Oh,
some of
we
you
get to do
listening,
it. Yeah.
some
We
of you
get to
might hate it,
fix it.
but we're gonna
We did
do
this in
not
baseball.
we're not gonna
We
do
did
all
this in
the
baseball. We
yes, we're
did
not
the
gonna do the
top 10.
100. Okay, we're not gonna be crazy and do 100. That dear Lord, we'd be here until March.
You
But
guys wouldn't listen anyways.
let's do the top 10, and we won't discuss every single reason. We'll just kind of go through our top 10, and then we can kind of discuss it as a whole. And if we differ, we differ. Um,
Yeah.
shall we start with number one, or should we
One
do
and work our
10 to
way
one?
down.
Let's do you want to
I
do
think we
10?
should do one and work our way down.
Okay, let's do it. Number one,
Patrick Mahomes.
I also agree. Patrick Mahomes, Patty McWat is he is.
There's
It is not even like to my spot. It's like here, and everyone else is here, and it's not even close.
a gap. Yeah, he's his own tier of
There's
quarterback.
no one, there's no player that does what he can do. That's what I believe. So Patrick Mahomes, number one. And again, I think there's a gap between one and two. No matter who you put it to, is the question. But I'm curious where Joshua is going with this
With
because
number 2.
yes, I'm very curious.
Yeah, I had to think a lot about this too. And
I'm thinking of impact.
quarter
That's where I go to is my impact.
I'm trying to think of that. Like quarterback's always gonna be like the most heavily weighed position and for good reason. But
Yes.
so yeah, so I'm going with Josh Allen here too. I think after Mahomes, he's the next quarterback that I'd take. I think that while he hasn't,
Fascinating.
played in a Super Bowl or made one yet, unlike, Dak and Herbert, he's like
Mm-hmm.
winning some playoff games and he's getting close. He's just running into Patrick Mahomes, who's the best player in the league, we just said every
Mm-hmm.
time. So that's what's
Yep.
blocking him. So it's like, okay, if you're getting blocked by Patrick Mahomes, I can't hold that too much against you. But the production's there. Um, I think he's a real big reason why Buffalo wins games. And we're going to really, I guess, see that put into play this year when he's going to be throwing to just Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman. So his numbers might take
Interesting.
a little dip, but I think the impact and like the value that he has in this league is really going to show.
Interesting. Hmm. That's not where I'm going, actually. I'm going to a guy who makes such an impact that, yeah, teams tend to triple team him. And I'm going to
Okay.
put Miles freaking Garrett at number two. Like I said, there's a tier for Patrick Mahomes. There is a tier with Miles Garrett in my tiers, and then there's everyone else between these two guys. When you watch Miles Garrett, it's not human what this man does. And this guy has been so consistent. He's had like the same sack numbers for like 4 straight years. Like he just automatic, what he's going to get. And I think, yeah, like what he does, man, like the way he moves, the way he can just grab dudes with one arm and then sack a guy. It's wild to me. So for me, number two, Miles Garrett.
Miles Garrett's actually number 3 for me. And I was having that conversation in my head, like Miles Garrett or Josh Allen. Which one would I rather take if I could have, if I'm building a team and I got the second overall pick in the NFL, would I take Josh Allen or would I take Miles Garrett? And I mean, like you said, you nailed it. Miles Garrett, He's out here. He's getting held. Not getting called. Teams are having to double and triple him. Some of the pictures of like the way the teams block him is just crazy. So even if he's not like getting all the sacks, which he still gets a lot of sacks and a lot of pressures, even despite all that, like I think that Josh Allen might give me a little bit more of an edge, but yeah, it's a very close conversation right there. But Miles is at 3 for me, so I'm with you.
3 for me is CMC, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, mainly because of what he can do on the offensive side of the ball. Like the fact that you can put him at slot receiver, you could put him at fullback, you could put him at running back, you could put him at wing, you could put him at wide out, like all the way wide.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dude, I remember his rookie year, it might have been second year, when he had like, dude, he had 1,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, like that's just not normal. Like he's just such a great player, and is when he's healthy, which he's been the last year or so, he's one of the best players, if not the best skill player in the NFL, and so that's why he's number 3 for me.
And for all those reasons, I got Christian McCaffrey at 4.
Look at us,
Just an overall weapon, big
just
time
a
weapon. Like you
weapon. They
said,
call him
can do it
Swiss
all. You
Army
can
knife.
hand it to him. You can pass it to him. He can
throw
block.
it.
He's fast. Yep.
And number 4 for me is Josh Allen. So
Okay.
I have him in the top 5.
Our top
I'm a little
4 are
higher
the
than
same.
you.
They just rank a little different.
Yes, Josh Allen for me at number 4. He's a freak. He's 6'5". He's 260 pounds, 250 pounds.
Yep.
And he's awesome to watch. I love
Can
watching
move.
him. He's an underrated guy that came out of nowhere, and he's doing what he's doing. So he's number 4 for me.
All right, let's see if we stay on the same wavelength here at 5. So this is when I get to Justin Jefferson.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to think about that one because we're in a passing league now, and I mean the conversations out there. It used to be a conversation of receivers don't matter because Tom Brady would like win games with like these no names, and
White guys.
Patrick Mahomes wins games with like these no names at receiver, and it's like, okay, those are like some of the greatest of all time to do it though. Most of these quarterbacks need weapons, and sometimes these weapons can really help a quarterback. I think Tua Tagovailoa is the best example of this. Having Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to throw to, it does wonders for him. And Justin Jefferson obviously did wonders for Kirk Cousins, and he's going to do wonders, I think, for JJ McCarthy or Sam Darnold or whoever it is that's going to be throwing him the ball. But yeah, super talented guy. To me, the best receiver in the NFL right now, and I'm putting him at 5.
5 for me is TJ Watt. TJ Watt, I think he's a top. I mean, we know the comparison. If you look at stat wise through the same number of games, he technically has a few more sacks than Myles Garrett. I just think TJ Watt's such a different animal because he's so lean that he can go into coverage if you need him to. He can play traditional linebacker if you really need him to, but he's so quick. Like he's different where he's just quick and he's opposite of his brother, right? JJ was so much more of a physical beast and animal, and he's just so quick. And I love watching TJ Watt, even though he's a Steeler. But I think he's the top 5 player, and you can't move me on that. I really do believe he's top 5 player in the league.
So number 6, we've gotten into some quarterbacks, we've gotten into some pass catchers and other offensive weapons. This is one that I think I'm going to go ahead and agree with the players on. I think the numbers back it up. Trent Williams, left tackle for the 49ers. I hear players all the time talk about him being best offensive lineman in football. And when you watch him play and when you look at like the sacks allowed and just consistency there, he's been doing it for a long time. Big, strong dude. And offensive line's important, Ben. If we're going to have these quarterbacks and these receivers making the connections, the guy have time to throw the ball. So Trent Williams, I think, super valuable, super tough. I'm throwing him at 6.
No, I agree with you, but for me it's 6 because he's not been on. Yeah, I've not put him on the board yet. Justin Jefferson for me. Like I everything you said earlier, like 100% agree with you. Like there's some quarterbacks that need receivers, and JJ McCarthy might have just gotten the biggest gift of his freaking career because he's had no receivers his whole career. He hasn't shown anything, but now you get Justin Jefferson. I just love his game. Like he's just so fun to watch. Like there's just some receivers like Marvin Harrison Jr. is another one where it's just fun to watch. I think he's going to have a great career. He's a Hall of Famer for sure in the future. That's for me number 6. Who you got number 7?
This is where I throw Tyreek Hill in here.
Yeah,
I think
I feel like he's around this
I
area.
think similar to McCaffrey, the dude's just an offensive weapon that can do anything:
So
return
fast,
punts,
man.
catch,
So
get
fast.
reverses, so fast. You can throw him slants, you can throw him deep balls. Just a solid offensive weapon. I don't think he's the best player in the league like the players do, but 7 for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, like
top 10 for
I
sure.
know the players think he's like a freak, which is awesome, but that doesn't make you the best player. For me, 7, I'm actually going to agree the exact same ranking as the players did, which is Trent Williams. Like, you need tackles, and like Trent Williams, like I've never heard anything bad about him. I've always seen him like he doesn't get beat that often. Like he's so solid. He is truly a tree. Um, and I think Trent Williams is that perfect spot to be the 7th best player in the league for sure.
Number 8, I got TJ Watt.
Do you
You
agree?
already
You
nailed
agree?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed everything that I needed to say. The only thing that holds this guy back is his health, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's where I was a little hesitant where I put him, but I'm like, I'll
Yeah,
just do
he
it.
probably would have been higher if it
Yeah.
wasn't like if I didn't have the health concern.
8 for me is Tyreek Hill. Like again, I know I was very harsh on it when we first started about the list, but like I do think he's a top 10 player in the league. I just don't think he's tiers above everyone else. I think he's a freak, and it's very obvious that he is a freak, and he's shown it over the
Mm-hmm.
years, and he's also played with really good quarterbacks. So it's kind of hard to tell, how truly that is, but yeah, so that's for me at 8.
Yep. 9 for me. Another freak, another guy that brings versatility to the defensive side. Micah Parsons. Can put him
Mm.
at linebacker, can put him at edge. He can blitz. He can hang with the tight ends because he's fast enough.
Play
Um,
safety for crying out loud, probably.
yeah, dude's consistent, man. I think he's gotten at least 13 sacks each of his 3 seasons in the league, and I'd love to have him on my team. Like him, Watt, and Garrett are like the 3 guys on the defensive line, I'd say, that are like in a class.
Yeah. Uh, I won't put. There is one of these
You
that's
want to
gonna.
though.
There's no. This is the thing. There's one of these that's really gonna spark controversy, but we'll get to that one in a second. I'm yeah. I'm gonna put. I want to put. Yeah, I'll put him here as well. I think I agree with everything you convinced me. Micah Parsons go at 9. I averaged him at 10, but I'll agree he goes to 9. I think, dude, he's such a unique player, and it's
Hmm.
so hard. Like even like Matt in the video game doesn't know what to do with him because he's like such a freak. You put him at
Yep.
defensive end, he's so good. When you put him at linebacker, he's also good. Put him at safety, he's really good. So it's a fascinating concept, and yeah, Micah
Yeah,
Parsons
it's
at
something
9.
you usually just see on offense. Like we were just talking about
Yeah,
some of these offensive weapons like Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey and even Travis Kelce to an extent are like that. But on defense, you don't get a ton of guys that can have that versatility.
yeah. Who is number 10? The final one we'll go through today. Who's number
So
10 for you?
I was fighting in my head over Sauce Gardner and Chris Jones for this spot because I think Chris Jones, best defensive tackle in football, and I think he showed it in the Super Bowl just with how valuable he was and the plays that he made. But I also think Sauce Gardner in a passing league, excuse me, like we got all these big wide receivers now, and you need somebody to be able to lock it up on the backside. Excuse me, dude. But I'm leaning Sauce here, but I would listen and not be mad if someone wanted to put Chris Jones there. I'm putting Sauce here because we don't really have many lockdown corners anymore. The
True.
receivers and the way the league is just gone now is like there's so much volume passing now that you're just never going to be able to take a receiver completely out of the game. But Sauce somehow still finds a way to take out whoever his assignment is out of the
The
game
new
and
age
like
Darrell
basically just
Revis.
make a quarterback have to throw to only one side of the field. I think that's
Mm.
valuable.
Well, I see Sauce and like Chris Jones are probably like the next couple, on my list. But you know that I have to have an outlandish one because that's just kind of the way I think. Um,
Don't put Nick Chubb here.
I'm not. I'm not that
Okay.
crazy. Okay, I'm not that crazy. Mike Evans is going here. Mike Evans. I don't know if it's that outlandish.
Okay.
But the reason why is everything I said earlier. And I was just so shocked with where he was and who he was behind. Like again, we talk about consistency. Guys, they're consistent. All these dudes we've just listed are consistent. They don't, and I look at this list and I'm like, CeeDee Lamb, we've seen one really good year. We've seen one, maybe 2 years of AJ Brown really good. Amon-Ra, we've seen like one really good year. For me with Mike Evans, it's been there's never any change. It's just consistent. So for me, he's so good. He's so talented. Doesn't matter what quarterback you throw out there. We talked about it earlier. It doesn't matter what quarterback you throw him. He's going to do the same thing he always does. Doesn't matter. He's 6'5". He's 225 pounds. For me, he is number 10, but Sauce Gardner is like creeping the door open. But I'm going to put Mike Evans at number 10.
Yeah, Mike Evans is like you said, he's the guy that's like always going to get like at least 1,000 yards to 1,200 yards. He's going to get double-digit touchdowns, consistent, no matter who he's throwing to.
With no other weapons usually on that offense, by the way. There's not many other weapons that are usually there.
Well, Godwin, but injury concerns there.
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes
like there's not like consistent guys around him.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
Yeah.
That's our top 10.
Top 10, okay.
That's our top 10, which
I'm a bigger Sauce Gardner fan than Ben, I guess. Didn't expect that.
Well, listen, some of us had to make changes. But leave us a comment in the down below of what you think of our list. Do you disagree? Do you agree? What is your thoughts on the original list? If you agree with it, y'all have been drinking some weird Kool-Aid. But let me know, let us know what you think. It'd be fascinating to talk with you about that. But before we finish today's show, we have two smaller subjects to talk about. Not really smaller. I mean, we have preview of the NFC South, but then we'll briefly talk about the Olympics, finish the show. But let's talk about the NFC South, which is the most boring and annoying division of football that you can ever cover. 100%. And I just talked about Mike Evans, of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but it's boring to cover the NFC South.
Yeah, not a fun one, but we're going to go ahead and get through it because if we don't, nobody else will. So
that's 100% true.
Trying to figure out a division.
We'll try to keep it brief because we know, like I had someone when I told them that we were doing the NFC South, they're like, can you just not no one cares about the NFC South. And I was like, oh, wow,
we're going to give them their due flowers, but we are not going to give them any more attention than they deserve until they prove otherwise.
This
is a division that has 7-win teams win that division.
It's just awful. It hurts.
And what Tampa Bay, if I remember right, won the division last year with 9 wins, right? 9-8. That was first place.
Yep.
And 3 of the teams could have still won it at the end of the year. All still in the race. Yeah.
Oh my word.
Man. Well, it is an unpredictable division. You never know who's going to win it, but I would think that Tampa Bay would have to be the front runner.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's start there. I think Tampa Bay wins about 10 games. Again, it depends on Baker. Maybe you agree with me, Josh, but I think it depends on Baker. What Baker do they get? And can the defense somewhat stay sort of the way it was last year? Can someone else other than Mike Evans be the guy? Can help out, can be that. The offensive line is still going to be pretty solid. So I'm just interested to see the defense and what other weapons are going to come to fruition here. But yeah, I still think they're going to win the division just because they're not that much better, but also I think they're going to stay consistent from last year.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield in a prove-it year last year, I think proved that he can, be a good starting quarterback. Really got back on his feet. I was happy for him that he was able to do that.
Awesome.
And Tampa Bay responded by not paying him $55 million a year for having next to nothing on his resume, but they did extend him 3 years, $115 million. So it's a $38 million a year on average.
Yeah, it's good for him.
Reasonable. Yeah, good for Baker. But like you said, yeah, we've seen it a lot in Cleveland. It's those 2-minute situations where we need to get in the field goal range or get a touchdown and win it. Not very good at. And they do have a pretty tough road to go, at least early on. Washington and Denver will be easy games. Those are both home games too, but they got to go at Detroit and host Philly in those first 4 games for them too. So we'll get a little taste of that, I'm sure. Then they also got to host Baltimore. They got to go to Kansas City. They host San Francisco. Um, they go to Dallas, they go to the Chargers, and then they obviously got like the division games, which should be pretty easy. But there's a lot of big games on there that
Yeah,
10 wins is going to be tough to get to.
but I think I think they're going to have to, because I think there's maybe one other team that could be at that 9-win close mark in this division, but yeah, they're going to have to get close to that at least.
If anybody's going to win 10 games right now, I would think it'd be them. But
Yes, for sure.
yeah. So second team in this division, it's a team that's like gotten 7 wins, I think, each the last 3 years. There's just always been something. They can never get over that hump with Arthur Smith. Falcons, man. I think if Tampa Bay, like for whatever reason, falls off a cliff, or if Baker ends up like having a slump season or gets hurt, Atlanta's the team that might have a shot to go ahead and run away with this. I wish they could have had a better draft though and a better offseason. But offensively, they seem set. We'll just see if the defense can like produce a pass rush.
Yeah, dude, it's just, ugh. Yeah. I don't even know where to go from here. Um, yeah, I mean, Falcons for me, like, are you going to start Penix or you start Kirk Cousins? I have no idea, but I think the Falcons are have the at least the somewhat of a foundation to have success this year. I think they're going to be like an 8 to 9 win team. Um, you know, maybe they can surprise some people, but I just think that they're still on that, I think, second step of rebuilding, and I think the next year is when you can kind of try to hit that full go. Um, but again, they had such a bad offseason that it's almost like you had that chance to kind of leap yourself into that driver's seat, and you decided, I'm just not going to wear my seatbelt. So I just feel like they might come up a little short this year, but I think they're going to be there the following year.
They do have the Eagles and the Chiefs in those first 4 games of the season too. But
Rough.
as far as like the non-division games go, they play the Steelers, they play the Seahawks, they play the Cowboys, they play the Broncos, they play the Chargers, they play the Raiders, the Giants, the Commanders. Like it's a doable schedule to work with if you got the talent in the building. It's definitely an easier road to go than what Tampa Bay's got to go with.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll see what Atlanta does, but I would think that they're second, and if enough things go right, maybe they can even win the division. But third, it's a team that I think should just honestly like blow it up and rebuild is New Orleans.
Oh, I don't know. Why are they not? They just signed Warner, a former High State player, to a 3-year deal. I'm like, why are they not trying to rebuild? Because I don't know what they're doing in the quarterback room, and then everything else is just
Yeah,
shambles.
they've been really close. I think they got to give up on some guys. Like they got to give up on like Michael Thomas ever being like himself again. They got to give up on like being like that team that they were with Drew Brees. Like they just got to like I think blow it up and like try to like do something else because they keep getting close. They keep like having these almost teams and they're just like stuck in like that mediocrity area
And
where you can't get a high enough pick in the draft and you don't get
they're
in the
still
playoffs.
they're still honeymooning on the fact that, oh, we had Drew Brees as our quarterback. And they're so, it's almost like, it's like that guy that's scared to, like, he's had this, like, old Camaro from the 70s, and he's so he it doesn't work anymore, but he's so like scared of change and to like upgrade to something new and fascinating and add all these new things, that these new toys you could put with it. And I just feel like that's where they're at. They're like so close to like pulling that plug, but they're like, no, but we want to hold on to the memories. Well, the memories aren't winning you anything. And as a
Yeah,
Browns
this
fan,
is
we've lived that life.
there's a handful of guys on this team that are like still from like that Drew Brees era, and Drew Brees was very valuable, obviously. But yeah, I can go ahead and see what they've been doing this
They're
offseason real
they're
quick
gonna be like
here.
6 wins. I got 6 wins is where I'm leaning.
Yeah, like I thought Derek Carr like would work out over there, and he did not.
Yeah.
I think he's still on the roster too.
Yes. I believe so.
Um, let's take a look here. So yeah, it looks like the Saints will be looking to make their first playoff berth since 2020. It's been a while.
It's been, as
Um,
they would say, a long while.
yeah. Uh, they finally fired their offensive coordinator who had been with the team since 2006 too, Pete Carmichael. So one
A
step
new era.
trying to move
Like I
on.
said,
Yeah.
they're slowly doing it.
Yeah.
The Camaro's getting a little shinier. They're trying to get rid of the Camaro, but they want to keep it just for good looks, but also
Yeah.
get rid of it a little bit.
Yeah. So Carr's there. He had some injuries. Taysom Hill's been at quarterback. You got Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams at running back. Um, Michael Thomas, you're hoping to come back, but I don't think he ever will. Um, Defensively, I think the Saints finished their fourth consecutive season with a top 10 scoring defense, but um and finished fourth in the NFL in takeaways. So it sounds like they did get Chase Young,
Yeah, but what
but
chase are you getting? That's the question.
right. And they drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry for the secondary.
True.
Um oh yeah, Cam Jordan is still here and he's 35 years old, and Demario Davis is getting up there, and Tyrann Matthews back there, but he's 32. So it's like those are all solid guys. They're just a little older.
Yeah. But again, like I
Maybe
said, they're they love the Camaro. Uh yeah. And that leaves us with one team
the Carolina Panthers.
who are just going to be also trash again this year. They're going to be so bad again.
Yeah,
They
I did not
might
think
win.
they'd
They
be that
might
bad
win.
last year.
They might win 3 to 4 games. Maybe. Maybe is a question.
They looked like they did a lot of effort to try to help Bryce Young out. Like they made the moves to
We
get
think.
Hurst over there last year. They got Miles Sanders last year and adding Thielen to go with DJ Moore, and then they ended up blowing it up, man. I think they won 2 games. They ended up trading DJ Moore, obviously. It's not a good time right now in Carolina right now. And I think they're realizing more and more that Bryce Young was a mistake. Everything
Yep.
that we had a concern about is
CJ
coming out.
Stroud, we've been saying we said that even before, and here we are.
Yeah.
So,
Not going to give up on a guy after his first year by any means. I don't think he's had a fair shot, kind of like how we always, or you
yeah.
always defend Justin Fields. But Justin Fields also is at least getting the running stats, and Bryce ain't even doing that.
Yeah. So, the NFC South, like we said, we weren't going to spend a lot of time because, let's be honest. But I don't think there's any other NFL news other than Jim Harbaugh is suspended for a year if he goes back to college football.
But she doesn't. He never wanted to
Which
coach
let me
college.
let me be honest with. First off, Jim Harbaugh, grow a pair of brass and at least own up to the fact that that was your program and admit that something was going on. Like, to me, that was the most frustrating thing when he's like, I knew nothing about it. Like, I'm sorry, I coached at the college level. Our head coach, even if he didn't need to know about it, he would find out about it, or at least he knew that his coaching staff would be in a certain way. But for me to to hear that and then like to see, also he almost got like a slap on the wrist because like all he did was get suspended. Like, you know,
If he
uh,
goes back to college, which
yeah.
he's not going
So
to.
I will say that this is, by the way, not for what the cheating scandal, by the way. This is for the COVID-19 thing. Who, if Michigan got 4 years of show clause for,
Mm-hmm.
you imagine what they're going to get for this Connor Stallions thing?
They can
Like,
find anything.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, they found text message deleted, which is already, Jerome Moore is already going to be screwed. I mean, he's going to be suspended probably. But, anyways, we'll talk about that more next week because that's a whole other world. But let's briefly finish up by talking about the Olympics. We'll just briefly talk about it. We won't spend a lot of time on it. But some of the notable things that have happened. As we're recording this, the USA came back from being down 13 points, at one point 16 points or 15 points to Serbia today, and went on a 30-15 run in the fourth quarter. At one point, it was like a 21-6 run to end up beating Serbia. And Josh, this has finally pointed out, I've finally been able to point this out, that it's not that the U.S. has gotten worse. The world is catching up with us,
The
and
world is catching up.
we need to stop acting like they're not, because Serbia, which by the way had maybe two dudes that were like studs, the rest were just like these grown men that like play Euroball, and they looked like they could dominate. But it does show me that the U.S., when they want to put it into second gear and put the finishing touches on it, they can, and they can do it really freaking
Yep.
fast. So again, that's 10-minute quarters, and they did that in like 6 minutes. So it's a fascinating thing. That's been fascinating. Jordan Lyles won the
No Lyles.
100. Sorry, Noah Jordan Lyles. Where did Jordan Lyles come from? Goodness. Noah Lyles, sorry, finished first in the 100 and then finished third, and then said, well, tested positive for COVID. So we thought we left COVID, and here we are. We're back with it.
Yeah, I thought we weren't using that as an excuse anymore.
Goodness. Then there was a guy from, I believe the guy that won it was from, I believe, if I can find it here, he was from winner of the 200 meter in Olympics. I believe he was from the country of, oh yes, he was from the country of, where is it? Botswana. He was from Botswana. So awesome to see. We also know Simone Biles has once again dominated the gymnastics scene. She did not medal in one of them, which was kind of a shocker, but she's won. Ledecky has just done what Ledecky does and just decides to go and win like every medal in swimming possible. What are some of the other notable ones you've noticed? I saw the U.S. men's soccer got knocked out. Shocker. We don't get far in soccer. Not surprised. Anything you noticed?
We were talking about it beforehand. The Quincy Hall finish in the 400,
which was
he was like coming
phenomenal.
around the final 100 in 4th or 5th place and just gutted it out, like completely gassed at the end. That's why like the 400 to me is just the best event in track, I think, to watch spectator wise, because the 100, yeah, like those are like the fastest guys, and it's crazy to see all these guys run sub 10. And then like the marathon obviously is like not everyone can run a marathon. That's like takes a lot of training, and they're running it in like just 2 hours or something crazy like that. But the 400 is just like that all out sprint. You can see it on their faces, and you can see it with like the way they run. Like they got nothing left, and they're like trying. They're running on fumes at the end. And sometimes you can see these crazy comebacks like that if someone doesn't have the stamina.
Well, it wasn't the stamina. It was the fact that the Great Britain guy thought I think he had won it, because he started slowing up about 25 meters, 20 meters until the end. Because if you look, as Hall is passing him, he's almost looking like, are you? Because a lot of these guys, they're staring at the screen. Where'd this guy
come from?
Well, the thing is, they're staring at the screen and they see the lead they have or where everyone else is. And I'm sure what he did was he turned that corner and he's like, okay, I got a decent lead. I just can, as long as I coast close to the end, I'll be fine. And I tell you, it even goes back to Noah Lyles in the 100 meter. Now, I know there's a lot of people saying, well, the other guy's a leg pass first. If you look at the rules of track, it's your chest. When your chest passes. So again, these little things are so fascinating. We saw Hawker, who wasn't even projected to finish top 5, won it in the 1500 meter for the U.S. We saw the guy from Sweden, Duplantis, by the way, just blow the world record for the pole vault. I'm trying to think of some other ones that went on. China, by the way, just staying with us in gold medals, even in like, they're even doing well in like certain sports, which is fascinating. There's been many world records broken. Again, when the Olympics are finished, which will probably be next week, we'll be able to talk more about the Olympics and kind of break down some of the world records that were broken. I think you're good with that, Josh. We can go over that next week and kind of discuss more in detail as we're waiting for football season. It'll give us something to talk about. But that's some of the crazy things that went on. There's been a lot of cool stories. I don't know about if you saw the pistol guy from Turkey, which I thought was just phenomenal. This guy, if you guys know,
he's become
in pistol shooting, you have all of these gadgets. Cover your eye. There's like certain target acquisitions, earplugs. This dude,
obviously enhance performance and accuracy.
This dude rolls up in jeans and says, I don't need any special. Wears regular glasses, hand in his pocket, and is just like pop, pop, pop. First off, can we just both agree that he's totally in some secret like service, like he's like in the CIA of Turkey for sure? There's no way. I mean, this dude, he said, and I quote, his ex-wife got him into shooting because he was mad. I'm like, sorry, I don't want to piss that guy off in the future. Just be real
I
blunt,
wouldn't.
blunt
Yeah.
there. Dude, shooting one-handed, dude. It was something else.
Yeah.
And once again, the
I
U.S.
can't shoot a pistol one hand.
Oh, I can't either. And also, what is air pistol? So we do gotta like I've shot an air
Okay.
pistol. They're not really pistols. Also, the U.S. dominated in skeet shooting. But the Koreans dominate in archery. It's fascinating world we live in. One of the most fascinating sports I watched over this time is the canoe, like through like the rapids, but they drop you from like a 20-foot drop just straight into the rapids. It's just like boom. And it's fascinating to me. But yeah, there's a lot of great sports. Like I said, next week we'll talk about all the different medal. We'll talk about the medal count. Right now, the U.S. is up in total medals and in golds and bronze and silvers. But again, I like to remind people there's a lot of people from the United States. So let's just keep that in mind as we're
True.
looking at it total. But yes. Anyways, anything else, Josh, you would like to talk about tonight, this evening, as we're talking?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add other than fun little nugget for you. Grady Sizemore is
I
named
saw
the
that.
interim manager
Yes.
of the White
How do
Sox,
you
and
feel?
it just looks strong. I mean, he's been on the staff already, and I'm just like,
It
he
just
shouldn't
looks
be in a
wrong,
White
though.
Sox uniform.
It
He
looks
should be
so wrong.
wearing Cleveland of some kind. Yeah, but
Oh, it's phenomenal.
yeah, another team in the division.
But also, the White Sox are so bad. They're
They
so
had
bad.
21
Yes,
straight losses
they're
snapped
28 and like
recently.
86. It is mind-boggling how bad this team is. They're so bad, dude. Dude, I think we could coach the White Sox. I think we would have a good shot. I think we could do some damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could do some damage.
Maybe.
But anyways, once again, we want to say thank you for tuning in, hearing my rants. That I had way too many rants today. That's a first. I haven't had a rant in a long time, but some of us can think and thought, and some of us, we like to rant about things in life, and we like to have clear-headed thoughts, unlike some that are running a certain country that we sort of are a part of. Political
Yeah.
joke for the day. Anyways, once again, if you love listening on on YouTube, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you love listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then let us know by sharing, favoriting, and letting your friends know where they can find us every single time. Again, find us on Instagram. Follow our stories, because I'm sure Josh has been he sees bombardment of all the medals that I've been posting, which has just been like nonstop. But that the post will be slowing down a little bit as my new job starts, because I'll have a lot less time to do any of this, at least when it comes to the social media side. But hopefully we'll keep up with that as well. Once again, we hope you had an amazing time with friends and family this past week, as August is now halfway over almost, I feel like, which is just nuts. But hopefully with school starting up soon for some of you and other things happening, that you can still find time to spend with friends and family. So once again, until next time, we'll see ya.